to be talking to you again. I think we met during the CIAB conference in Nigeria, and we had interactions because of the arbitration lunch match, and I mean, the relationship has been growing from there, and I'm so glad to have you on the Arbitration Pitch.
Thank you, Lauraine. It's good to see you again. I think before then we've had a webinar together.
Right.
National ADR Society.
Right. A lot of networking.
Yes, a lot of it. Yes.
Yeah, so Chinenye, tell me, when I heard about you from that webinar, I think the people introduced me to you said you were a senior practitioner in Nigeria with over 2 decades of experience, and they couldn't wait to have you on the webinar. So I was excited as well. I mean, I couldn't wait to hear from you, and I must say that it was such a great experience. You shared your wealth of knowledge with the students, and it was good. Now tell us, how did you get here?
How did I get here? So it's bit by bit. So I'm going to start by after law school. There was this colleague of ours, is late now, Professor Kevin Onsu.
Okay.
So at the time, there was this body called the Association of it was a dispute settlement house he set up, and he would organize trainings on ADR, mediation, negotiation. So while we were in law school, towards the end of law school, I paid for some of the sessions. And we had to do it in Lagos, Port Harcourt, and I think Abuja. I remember at the time I would ask for funds from my folks, and like, you haven't even finished law school, But I did all those trainings.
Right.
Started practice. And I knew that I wanted more besides going to court. So started practice, and then my firm was a core litigation firm. There was a bit of corporate practice, but it wasn't really upscale at the time. So I remember seeing one of our files, and there was a clause for arbitration. We're going to court. So I was so excited. I'm like, I tried to meet my boss. I'm like, look at this clause here. It's arbitration. Why are we going to court? And that was it. So when any matter would come up arbitration, I would. That was how counsel. I said act as counsel in arbitration. And then I did my LLM, international business law. My core models were international commercial arbitration models, and that gave me automatic membership to start the Institute of Arbitrators in the UK. From there, I got to meet the community in Abuja or in Nigeria, very active, and in Abuja was smaller, unlike Lagos. So Abuja is more of a family, so that helped. Volunteering in conferences. As well, I also volunteered myself as an ESCO. So I was assistant secretary at some point. I was treasurer. Now I'm on the ESCO of a national body up in Lagos, in Nigeria, as an assistant secretary. So those things, you're not paid for them, but they're part of my journey. Yes.
That's interesting, and I know you have quite a number of speaking appointments as well. How do those ones come about? Because I know there are lots of young upcoming arbitration practitioners who would love to speak, at programs, because we've been told that these are some of the opportunities to be exposed and to be out there. So how do you get some of those speaking appointments? So
from my experience, everything in life is based on relationship. Most of my appointments have come from people I met somewhere, someone's had me speak somewhere, someone who's just encountered me as a person. So some of my engagements are not just only in arbitration. I've spoken in different forums as well regarding child rights and women and all that diversity and stuff. But it starts from your footprints. So when you're given a chore, for example, maybe you're given a task, how do you perform on that task? Right? That's one step. Second step will be, you hear there's something going on in Lagos or Port Harcourt or somewhere. How can I participate? Can I volunteer to speak? And when you give it that opportunity, you have to really do your homework so that you don't shut the door for the next person, right? And these things, don't expect to get paid immediately. You just have to do it. I remember my first speaking engagement outside the country. My friend Isaiah, he was like, "Oh, I'm going to Kigali, let's go." How do I have money? He's like, "Go and look for the money." You have to spend money to. So that was how I started. I would go and get loans from my father and my younger brother. But I would show up at these events.
Yeah.
Right? It's a sacrifice and something I had to do. Yes.
How have you been able to maintain relationships in the arbitration space? Because I think some people struggle with that. They meet people at conferences, at programs, they strike, a nice acquaintance, and afterwards they just bury themselves back in work. How do you do it?
I'm going to speak from my personal perspective. As a person, I'm big on relationships, not just work. And also, because of that, I'm mindful. I'm not just going to take from you. It has to be symbiotic, give and take. So for me, when I meet you at a conference and I connect with you, I'm deliberate about keeping in touch. It can be an email, it can be WhatsApp. If I'm in your postcode at any point in time, I'll let you know beforehand. I'm coming to Ghana. Could we meet for tea, for lunch or something? So things like that, I'm deliberate about. I keep in touch.
When you go for conferences, what are some of the things that you do to make the most out of it? Because I believe you've gone for quite a number, and how are you able to make sure that they don't become redundant? It just doesn't become something you're doing. Just
for the fun.
Yeah, for the fun of it.
So when I hear about a particular conference, the first thing I'll do is because I send you these emails ahead of time.
Right.
I'll go through the speakers list, and particularly about who I listen to and what they're saying.
Okay.
So probably I've followed your LinkedIn, I've checked out your website, and I'm kind of seeing your footprint. So I check all those things. That will determine if I'm going to attend that conference.
Right.
Do I want to meet? What's my reason for meeting that person? So I won't just hop on a plane and show up in the States or in Ghana or Nairobi. No. What's the purpose of this conference, right? So that's the first step. Check out the speakers, look them up. What topic areas are they speaking to? Are you interested in those areas? Those things will help you to decide which conference to attend. That's what I do.
Okay.
Yes.
Some people are of the view that networking doesn't translate to work. There are people who are known in this space but are not doing the work, and the people who are doing the work might not be known in this space. What's your view on that?
I would say that networking translates to work, but it takes time. It's not going to be like making noodles. No, it's from relationships,
instant
right?
noodles.
So you're going to build all those networks,
right?
Like I said, people just don't want you to come and take from them. Be willing to put on the work in building that relationship with that person. That's the only way your networks will grow.
You mentioned relationship a lot, and I believe your first appointment might have come through relationship. Tell us about it.
So my first appointment was court-appointed arbitrator, right? Sole arbitrator.
Okay.
But I knew I was recommended.
Okay.
All right, because I've done a couple of served as tribunal secretary a couple of times. I still do, because I have my bosses that will serve. I won't say no to them.
No.
And there's some high-profile matters. I would gladly sit as tribunal secretary for those kind of matters. So I was recommended by one of them, and that's how I got my first appointment. Second appointment recommendation as well. That was private. All of them are recommendations.
How did you feel about your first appointment?
I was really excited.
Right.
At the same time, I was nervous because I was sole arbitrator. But the beauty of it for me was because I had sat in the room a couple of times as tribunal secretary, it was easy for me. So I used to tease one of them, who Professor Paul Idoniji.
Right.
I used to tease him. I tell him that when I was in the room, I was hearing his voice in my head.
Wow.
Because I would remember at this point when the party raised an issue, I would remember how Prof addressed that issue.
Right.
And I addressed it in the same way. So it was very, very helpful. Very helpful. It was a good opportunity for me. I was really excited. I remember writing my award, how I was painstaking about it. I would really read it. I'd wake up at night. It was really good. It was very exciting.
Wow.
Yeah, it was.
Wow. And I think you've sat as sole arbitrator and as part of a tribunal.
Yes.
And how have you enjoyed those two experiences?
So my tribunal I just got back that appointment this year, the first appointment.
Okay.
I'm sitting with two senior advocates.
Oh, nice.
And I'm the only female younger than both of them.
Right.
It's interesting. A part of me also has this issue. I don't know. I think women a lot of imposter syndrome thing. But initially, when we started, I would notice I would defer to them a lot. And then one time I just told myself, why do you keep deferring? You're one of them. You're here because you have something in your brain. You have something to offer. But it's interesting because the presiding arbitrator would always insist on your comments, on my comments. What are your comments? Oh, no. What are your comments? I have to say something, give my voice, give my opinion, So it's been interesting.
Mm. I'm sure finding your voice has been a journey as well, and a lot of young female arbitration practitioners, especially from Africa, might feel sometimes that they don't belong in the room, or might sometimes feel some imposter syndrome. How did you deal with it, in a holistic manner to ensure that you were able to break through and showcase, all that's in you?
I find that a lot of women, not the men. So as women, I noticed that we want to go somewhere and they ask for 10 requirements. It's the woman in the room who will have 10. The man might have 3, right? And he just crashed into the room. But we tend to wait to have 10. And because of that, you see that the men in the room are more than the women, because we're waiting to have 10. So for myself presently and a couple of years, so my late mom was not like that. She was very, so I get now I'm getting older. I'm noticing that some of her just traits, I'm picking them up and remembering things she would do. So for me now, I tell myself I deserve that seat as much as he does.
Yes.
And sadly or ironically, when you enter step into those rooms, you find that you really had nothing to be scared about. You are much more knowledgeable than just people in the room. But because you felt, I don't know this, I don't have this competency, I haven't done this, I don't have a master's degree, I don't have a PhD, I'm not a fellow, I haven't done this, but it's there. All the years of practice back and forth is there. By the time you start, there's so much respect for you from those men in the room. And they're amazed at, I didn't know you were this knowledgeable. So to shock you, all my recommendations as for arbitration appointments, all from your colleagues. All.
They saw something in you.
So it's like once you step into the room and you start speaking, especially when you know your stuff. You must know your stuff.
Yeah.
I find that because if you don't know your stuff as a woman, it's going to affect the next woman coming behind you.
Right.
So I'm very particular when I'm invited into a room. I realize I'm not just there as Chinenye. I'm there and there are like 20 women behind me or 100. So I must represent those women well.
Chinenye, you mentor a lot of young people from the National ADR Society.
Yes.
Yeah, Catherine did a great job. And I think that there were some things that probably you would tell them if you had to speak to them today. About 3 things that you think that they should do, because there's now, I don't think that was the case maybe 5 years ago, but there's now such a vibrant community of young arbitration practitioners who are doing so well, and I don't know if there's enough space to absorb them. I don't know if there are enough positions. I don't know if there are enough arbitrations going on for them to sit as arbitrators, because I know that's the aim for most of them. So what advice will you give them so that they excel and they get to their dream positions in arbitration?
Okay, key thing will be number 1, be patient.
Okay.
Be patient. It's important because it's a journey. It's not a shortcut. You have to be patient, number 1. Keep building, keep digging, keep refining your skills, keep getting knowledge. That'll be number 2. And number 3, relationships. Yes, because it is someone who's going to open the door for you.
Yeah.
And even if there's no one to open the door for you, you have a track record that would that will make someone recommend you into those rooms, into those rooms, Yeah. So be patient, keep building, keep refining your skills, keep updating yourself, upskilling, and maintain relationships. Those 3 things, yes.
Right.
Yeah.
It's been lovely chatting with you, Madam Relationship.